YouTube, government philosopher, making yet another video here. You all know it's video time when you got the Guinness and you got the cigar. So, this video is going to be about decoding the matrix in regards to dating and the social dynamics of men and women. Now, we all know that most men are, in a social media perspective, completely invisible in the modern world. All right? It's pretty obvious to all of us that, you put a picture up on Instagram and, you might get some likes or whatever from your friends or some people that follow you. But if a girl puts a hot picture of her in a bikini or some sexy outfit, she's going to get hundreds or thousands of likes and hundreds of DMs. So attention in the more conventional sense, attention is currency in dating. But when girls get, something only has value if it's deemed as, it's got some sort of limited, there's some limited amount of it, right? And it's scarce, right? There's not a lot of, Rolls Royces being driven on the car. So when somebody sees one, it's got, it piques people's interest, right? There's a limited amount of gold in the world, right? I think they say there's like 2 Olympic swimming pools worth of gold in the world. So that's why gold is valuable. It's a scarce resource, right? So, but if girls have a superfluous amount of attention, then attention loses its value, right? Because it's not a scarce resource. It's easy. It's easily attainable. So, women have a artificially inflated sense of their sexual market value because of a superfluous amount of attention that they're receiving on these social media platforms via, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, OnlyFans, Snapchat, whatever the fuck it is, right? So this coalescing with the fact that feminism has convinced women to forego traditionally and biologically imperatives such as wifedom and motherhood in exchange for career. Women now have their own money. So they don't need a man. In a traditional sense, women needed a man for the provisioning of resources and protection. That is no longer the case. So, because of the fact that women tend to date across and above in the social socioeconomic dominance hierarchy, they no longer are going to be, you have to be at a level that's higher than them. So if a girl has an MBA, she's good looking, she's fit, she's making 6 figures, she drives a brand new or a newer BMW or a Mercedes, lives in a high-rise apartment in one of these, fucking cities. The fact that you drive a Mercedes and you live in a nice place and you make 6 figures and you have an MBA is not going to be enough. Because at the very best, you're only at her level. You're like an equal to her, but you're not above her. She's going and because of the fact that they are in these roles that have traditionally been dominated by men, and they're very competitive roles, which are more fit to a man's nature, they have had to take on, they have become more masculine. They might look feminine, but their attitude, their demeanor, their whole persona has become extremely masculine and competitive. So unless they view a man as like many notches above where she is, she's going to view him, she's going to be competitive towards him. Okay? And that's not, and I'm going to tell you guys something, like no guy wants to go and bust his ass all day, out in the fucking work field, and then come home to some fucking snooty competitive cunt looking to fucking bust his balls about every little fucking thing that she can find wrong with him. Like, this is not a harmonious relationship, okay? But this is the reality that we face today. So the stakes for men are all that much higher. The demand on women or on men are extremely high, because think about it, guys. If you grew up in like I grew up in a very middle class upbringing, okay? My parents drove, Toyotas, Hondas, Subarus. They didn't drive. I never grew up. I never went out into the garage of my parents' home and saw a BMW or a Lexus or a Mercedes or a Range Rover or an Aston Martin. An Aston Martin. Jeez, that's even a whole other level. So like, the fact that I now drive a Lexus, it means a lot to me, because I didn't grow up with those type of cars. That wasn't what I was accustomed to growing up. But if you had grown up in a family with more money than mine, and your dad always drove a new Mercedes, and your mom had, a BMW or whatever, a Jaguar, then like, that wouldn't really be a big deal to you, because it would just be normal to you. Okay? So think about this. If a woman, it used to be where, if a man was stable, a man had a good job, a man had a decent place to live, he had a decent car, that was enough to attract a quality woman, because a woman would see that this man has value, this man has his shit together. But this is not enough anymore. This may be enough in like your smaller to maybe mid-sized cities, but like, if you guys are living in Miami or LA or Chicago or New York or Seattle or one of these big market places, guys, the competition between a guy having his shit together and a baller is it's not even comparable. I mean, to take that step to where you're driving, $150,000, $250,000 car, an $8,000 a month place, and traveling first class or private jets or going on billion-dollar yachts like a half dozen times a year, is really not attainable to even by society standards, a quote-unquote successful man by normal standards. So just like, you think that because you got a BMW and in a nice place and this and that you're going to be able to attract these women, like you're going to need to find somebody who doesn't, you're not going to be, you're going to have to like maybe look for a secretary or somebody who's only making 50, 60 grand a year. And, because women really, like, the higher they are, the higher you need to be, right? So coalescing with the fact that, like, because this is the thing, guys, like, and I'm going to get into this because there's a flip side to this. So this is what's going on with men, right? Men who have value and are productive and are effective men, but they're not baller status. No, get that out of your mouth. These guys don't understand why they're not getting what they want, because they think they followed the rules, they got what they thought they were supposed to get, but now it's not enough. Like, my dad can't understand how I'm not, I mean, I do pretty well, but with the women, but like, he can't understand. Sorry, I heard the dog barking. He can't understand why I'm not, just killing it, because I make decent money, I have a decent car, I have my own home, I have my own business, but I'm not a baller, okay? Because in his day, that was pretty good. So So in the short term, guys, we are at a huge disadvantage. All right? We are at a disadvantage because women have a plethora of attention and it is asymmetrical, right? It's they have much more attention from men on social media than we get. You know, an 8 out of 10 woman is getting 100 times more attention than an 8 out of 10 man on social media. Okay? And most guys aren't even on social media because we view it as a waste of time. Right? Like, I see all these gorgeous girls, a lot, I see like I'm from a small town. Like, I see good looking, gorgeous women from my town. I see their boyfriends, and most of them aren't even on social media. And that's the benefit of living in a smaller town is that there's not a lot of guys that have even like, you know, a Lexus, BMW, decent job, decent place. So like that is enough in maybe those type of cities. And those guys typically meet their girlfriends younger because they're more traditional, like they're Midwest, maybe they're from the South, like that. It's not as bad in those type of places, but I'm kind of talking more your Miami, LA, Seattle type of place. Like these places are gonna be like there's a lot more hot girls, but there's also a lot more guys who have extreme amounts of money and status. And so although it's a bigger pond, there's bigger fish in there. And if you're not a big fish, you know, the big fish are gonna get all the girls and the smaller fish are gonna be left with the scraps. And so like what you know, if you're making 150 grand a year, you're in shape, you got a little business, or maybe, you know, you're an engineer, you're a lawyer, whatever, you got a decent car, like you're a small fish in these big cities. But in the small town, you're the big fish and you're gonna get a great girl and it's gonna be a lot easier for you. But understand the game you're playing and what league you're in. Okay? Because, you know, I live in Miami, so I see it from a different perspective than say somebody living in Missouri. Okay? But understand also that like even if a girl in a small town has that job and that lifestyle, she's still going to demand the same, right? It's just that there aren't as many girls that are living those lifestyles in these smaller towns than a place like Miami. And conversely, there aren't a lot of guys that are living these opulent lifestyles in Miami than there's more of them living that lifestyle in Miami than there are in smaller towns. So let's just recap, and then I'm going to get to the second part of the video. So men are being fucked over because social media has given women a false sense of attraction level, right? Because of the superfluous amount of attention. They also have, they've also gotten to a level on their own where, you know, they already have a very nice lifestyle. They've traveled all over the place. They got the car. They got the apartment. They got their career. They got their master's degree. So that is not going to be enough now to attract those women. Okay? Because women want to marry someone above them or get with someone above them. All right? And so that's why men are being screwed over in the short term. Right? Now, women are also being fucked over in this because women, although it seems like they're winning right now, they're really being fucked over in the long run, I think even worse than guys are. And then the second half of the video, I'm going to explain why that is. So, you know, these women, you know, women are solipsistic, as, you know, Rich Cooper says. You know, they think that because they think a certain way, that therefore it must be true, that no other opinions could be valid because the way they feel must be reality. So let me light this again. All right. So women are, this is what women are doing. They're chasing this career. They're chasing the money. The same thing guys are doing, right? So, they probably get out of undergrad at 23 years old and they go get their master's degree. Now they're 26. Now they're entering the world. Now they get to middle management by probably late 20s, early 30s. So they're 33 years old. And you see this when you go on Bumble, when you go on all these dating apps. Like, you see these women that are between the ages of like 29 and like 35. They've got a master's degree. They've got a professional job. They're good looking. They're in shape. They've got pictures of them in Bali and Ibiza and Punta Cana and Cancun and, whatever, Paris, all these places that they want to go. And Costa Rica, right? So they have acquired all the things that we are told we're supposed to have by themselves. So, but they still think, and this is the lie. This is the backstab that feminism has done to women. They believe that they should, even though they're 35, that they still deserve a guy who's above them in the social dominance hierarchy. So, if they're a pharmaceutical sales rep making 150 grand a year, they've got their MBA or whatever, they want the VP of sales. So the VP of sales is because they think, okay, well, I'm 35 years old, so I should get a 35-year-old or a 40-year-old who makes, twice as much as me, and that's what I'm going to get. But they don't realize that younger women are always more attractive, okay? If a guy is 40, 45 years old and he hasn't gotten married yet, like, he's probably fucking around with girls a lot younger than him because he can. There's not that many guys who are making, north of $500,000 and driving $100,000 car and living in a place that costs $6,000 a month. It's just not, there's not that many guys out there that are at that level, right? So, the mistake that they make is that they think that men evaluate women the same way that women evaluate men. Again, very solipsistic, right? So they think that men are going to value their professional career and how well traveled they are and how, they're a boss girl and how they did it on their own and all that. And so they think that's going to attract somebody that in their mind is this elite guy that they think they deserve. And what they don't realize is this: relationships that work for the long term are usually when people meet each other when they don't have anything. Like, I have a client that she got married to her husband when she was 22 and he didn't have shit, okay? They built their life together. Now they have a beautiful home. They have 3 kids. They've got boats. They've got real estate, investment properties. They've got a lot of money. They've got a nice life. They travel. They have a really, by society standards, they have a very nice life. But they married each other when they were young. All right. Women today don't want to build with a man. They want someone who's already built everything for them, and then them to come in and be taken care of. Okay. And the problem that they don't realize is that a 35-year-old woman is going to have a lot more baggage than a 25-year-old girl. Also, if you start dating a woman at 35, you're going to date that girl for at least 2 years. You really should date her for more, but at least 2 or 3 years until you're going to propose to her. So now she's 37, 38. And then you live with her, and then you get married to her for a year. And then at 38, 39, you're going to have a kid. I mean, the chances of having a kid who's retarded after the age of 35 goes up dramatically, all right? Despite what they may want to think about with the breakthroughs and advancements of medicine and all that. So what ends up happening to these women? Because again, go on Bumble and just take a look. Don't take my word for it. Look at all these girls in their early to mid 30s who are single, but they have their career, they have their money, they have this. See all these girls that are single. What ends up happening to them? Option A, they're going to realize, the ones who have any bit of awareness about them are going to realize, oh shit, I'm 35. I'm not 25. I'm not even 28. These guys that are my age that are, making a lot more money than me are fucking girls that are 10 years younger than me, because girls that are 25 are typically broke, and a guy who's making 500 grand a year and can do this and all this stuff for them is really attractive. Like, girls tend to date older men because older men have resources, right? 25-year-old guys are usually broke. They're usually just getting out of school, living with 3 other dudes, trying to make it with their first professional job, and they're not really going to be able to be, they're not very attractive to women who want, the nicer things in life. And because we all live by comparison now, and every girl's got to go to the expensive vacations and have VIP and bottle service and all this because that's what they see on the social media, they're going to demand that a guy is able to get them that. Okay? So those girls that have a shred of self-awareness are going to realize that. What are they going to do? They're going to settle. Option A, the girls settle. So she's going to settle for a guy who's not really what she wants, but is going to be a good provider, a good father, a good husband. Maybe he's not in that great of shape, but he's got a decent job. I mean, he's not completely ugly, but maybe he's kind of a beta, or maybe he's just not really what they wanted, but she'll settle for him, okay? And she'll be unhappy because she still believes that she's entitled to this elite guy because she's so gorgeous and she's so smart and she's got this career. Not realizing that for guys, really all we men really care about is 2 things. Is she hot, and is she not crazy? Is she hot? Will she fuck the shit out of me? And is she pleasant to be around? Is she not going to extort me, embarrass me in public, be a liability? Okay, that's pretty much what we require. Now, what they won't realize is this. So option 2, the second one is that they're going to start getting all this plastic surgery. They're going to get the boob job. They're going to get the ass job, the Botox. They got to make themselves look really good. And they're going to really try to sink their teeth into a very wealthy guy. And they're going to try to find a weakness in this wealthy guy because they've got to fucking get somebody. They realize, like, they have a little bit more self-awareness, but their egos are so inflated that they think that they still deserve this guy, so they're going to do everything they can. It's like they've got their last hurrah, their last fucking go at it, and they're going to try to get this guy. And they might get this guy, and if it's purely about the money, like the first girl wants the elite guy, but knows, okay, I'm 35 years old, like, I don't look as good as I used to, but I still look good, so, like, I'm just going to settle for, like, a decent dude who's going to be good to me and would be a good father, and, like, it'll be all right. Some of those girls can learn to live with it and be relatively